had a chance to talk about it. Find out what you found out. For this lesson that we were looking at, the idea is focusing on the impact of cold weather and how that affects people, and particularly looking at the impact in the UK. And the idea of the activity they were doing in today's lesson is to try and think about what some of those impacts might be and how different people are affected in different ways, but also to give them the skill of being able to sort through the information and decide what's relevant, what might be background information, and perhaps what information is of no relevance at all to the task. There is a question on the board that asks you, why did Brian Carter have to leave his Boxing Day turkey sandwich uneaten? And that is what we're going to focus on for today's lessons. The tasks we're looking at today, the Great Lesson idea, looking at Brian and did he get to eat his Boxing Day sandwich, has a number of statements that are all related from an article that was in The Guardian a few years back. And the statements describe what Brian does for his job, what the weather was like, what things have been going on. And the students need to build on these statements that they're given in the envelope to try and look at why Brian didn't get to eat his sandwich. And in order to do that, you're going to be detectives, okay? Because on your desks, you have an envelope. And the envelope contains evidence or clues. And detectives form theories and they check on them to see if they're correct. So part of the process of what you're going to do today is put some ideas forward and then check on them and see if they're correct. One of the key concepts of the lesson is for students to be able to dig a little deeper into the information they're given and try and understand that things don't always just happen for what might appear on the surface to be a straightforward idea, but perhaps because there's background information going on that plays an important part of why people do things and why things happen. So there's 4 ideas here that you might want to sort the statements into. So when they've got the information pack being given to them, what they need to do is obviously to share that information amongst the students, and a good way to do that is often to get them to work in silence, because often one of the things students really struggle to do is to take the time to read the information that they're given. So a few minutes of quiet time which they're focusing to read those cards is really, really beneficial for the later success of a lesson. An older class, perhaps pupils at GCSE, might be able to take the activity a little bit further and not need some guidance, but certainly at this level I often find students do need some key questions that to get their ideas together. It's a really good time to go around the class talking to the students, finding out what they're gaining, and to start asking to put forward ideas and theories they might have. And some of the students started off with very simple ideas, he had a car crash, or he didn't survive, something happened, somebody died and he had to go and look after them, and those sort of ideas where they hadn't really grasped the information that was there. But when you give them sort of 10-15 minutes to actually focus on the task, the students start talking and they start realising there's much more to this than just a very simple explanation, and hopefully they start putting the ideas together.
When snow blocks roads and causes delays, it costs companies millions of pounds. Our priority, that's to do with snow.
One of the key things of a task like this is to allow the students a time to actually talk to each other, which is why giving them a large piece of sugar paper really helps as well, because it allows the students to just put their thoughts together, to jot their ideas down and to work things and mesh them together so they've got some idea of what's going on.
Because he spent too much time doing his job and didn't get enough time to go home or eat it.
Okay, so what you need to do now is try and use that evidence to sum up and get some sort of idea about what you think happened and the reason why that is and the evidence you've got to support that, okay? Yep. To move the lesson forward, the students also need to have a good chance where they can share their ideas with the rest of the class.
Supervised the work depots as temperatures began to drop and the forecast was for snow.
By the evidence shown, we think that Brian was just about to eat his sandwich, but he received a work-related phone call just before he started to eat.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, you've got lots of evidence on your desk here. You've managed to share it, had a chance to talk about it, and for the groups to share their ideas. So when you write up this task now, which is what I'm going to ask you to do to finish with, you need to think about not only the short-term reasons, but the longer-term and deeper reasons here that affected him why he didn't get to eat his sandwich. Okay, let's go. Really important at the end that you allow a good 5 or 6 minutes of quiet time for each student to focus on actually writing down their answer, because that way you've got something to reflect on in the next lesson that you teach, so where this is going. And it also means that you've got something, if you wish to do so, you can use to assess how the students have managed to learn during the lesson that you've been teaching.